Jimmy Butler, he's a very interesting player to me.
He's like, oh shoot, I don't know where to go with the ball because I haven't been able to think.
It was a great series. Game 4 was one of the best games I've ever watched in my entire life. Now LeBron's a 4-time champion, and Anthony Davis gets his first.
It's unacceptable. So happy when the Astros lost because it would definitely be a 2020 thing.
Yeah, I was impressed by their game. Braden Point, Andre Palat, Nikita Kucherov. That was the best line in the playoffs, no doubt.
Stay undefeated when they face the mighty Cowboys with Garrett Gilbert.
Hey everyone, I'm Jared Sandler, and you're listening to Outsiders Opinions.
What's up, y'all? Welcome for NFL Opinions of the Week. Second one for this week. Probably this is during football going on. We already reviewed the Super Wild Card Weekend and did some predictions. We'll see how those turned out. But we're mostly focusing on Tom Brady because he is not in the playoffs. I believe this was his fourth time he's ever been one and done in the playoffs. Lost to the mighty Dallas Cowboys. But we have some potential landing spots because I'm curious how you feel. Also, Austin, the man that can bet against Tom Brady / Bucks. I'm going to say you bet against Tom Brady because he was part of that team. But we can talk about that later.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if he retired.
You can't come back and then that happen. And then retire. You have to show that coming back was something that was actually a positive. And I feel like it would be admitting that you're wrong if you retire now. And Brady is not someone that admits he's wrong often.
I would agree. And there's a lot of other issues that I think go into it that happen with him off the field where it just be like, he did it for one where, no, I think he's going to keep going. But yeah, we have five potential landing spots, teams. But I do think there's going to have to be some maneuvering with any team that decides to sign Brady because he's probably going to want to bring in some guys or they want to bring in some linemen just because he is older and he wants to have a nice, clean pocket for himself.
Before we start, I would like to mention that the fact that Gronk is considering a return, and I feel like any of these teams may get Gronk, and I feel like that's part of where I will kind of like add Gronk and Brady to this team. How does it look and all that stuff?
So here's my thing also on Gronk. Did you know I know I've said this podcast so many times, the New Heights podcast interviewed Gronk.
Okay.
And do you know where he almost went this year?
I'll just take one guess and say Dolphins.
No, it was Buffalo Bills. You were in the same division though. Apparently, the Bills had talked to him and he was like, "Yeah, maybe," and they was like, "Yeah, no, I'm good." But I wouldn't be surprised if he decided to come back. I still have like 45 minutes left in that interview, but it's pretty funny. But yeah, so I think that's a good point. Rob Gronkowski could come with him, or there may be some wide receivers. But do you want to go one by one for this list?
One by one. And we both got to start obviously, we got to start at 5. We're not starting at
Okay.
1.
Okay, we're going to start at 5. All right.
So I'll say my 5 first. My 5 is Dolphins. I don't know how likely this is considering the fact that Tua, according to doctors, will be back next year and should be 100%. But he was already supposed to go there this year, but it all fell through. His master plan all fell through, and I don't know how supportive Mike McDaniel is of that. And now I feel like time has passed, but I wouldn't be utterly and completely shocked. I'd be shocked, but it wouldn't be absolutely like no way that just happened.
Yeah, I can see that. The Dolphins are not on my list, but the fifth team I have is the Bucks. It looks like the Bucks are changing their staff. Leftwich was fired. They departed ways with him. I'm not sure how I feel about that. But maybe they draft some more linemen, and they kind of put it together for one more run with Brady. but it's at 5, and I'm pretty sure he leaves. But just in case, I could see a return with Tampa.
Yeah. I don't have the Bucks on my list. I really struggle to see a return. They're going through coaches. You expect them just to do it with a new head coach? Like brand new. I don't see it. I don't. So what's your
And then, or what? What were
you
you gonna
go in and say your 4. You say everybody's saying
Okay.
go for.
Got it. Also with the Dolphins, I also put in this perspective. Okay, how easy is this division? And when I saw a team in the AFC East, I was like, you got the Bills. Don't know about the Patriots, what they do. So if you went to the Dolphins, I was like, that could be difficult to win that division, make it into the playoffs. So I kind of took that into my
But
own
it's not
rankings.
like the NFC South was not an easy division when he went there, though. The Saints were still arguably better whenever he went there, and that's why the Saints, won the division his first year with the Bucks.
That's a good point. But that's like something I was like, I don't know if you want to goes to there because you could have New England, Jets, and the Bills. But so that's why they were on my list. I also think they're kind of, I'm not sure how him and McDaniel would mesh, and if McDaniel really wants to do that. But that's on to 5. On to 4, this one's pretty shaky. But the only reason they're really on here is because they have a head coach opening, which I think they could bring Peyton in, and that's why Brady goes there, and they have picks. And that is number 4 is the Colts.
Wow, I don't have the Colts on my list. I don't like how they're set up. Like they're just they would have to get Peyton, they'd have to get Gronk, and they'd have to get other free agents to go there because I don't like how their team is set up currently. So they're not on my list. I get it. If Sean Payton, yeah, he'd love to be there with Sean Payton. My 4, you go.
One more thing is like they have the 4th overall pick. They could trade down, get more picks, trade those for players, linemen. It'd be like an NBA type move where they're trading everything. But that's all I got.
Okay. My 4 is the 49ers, and this would be if Brock Purdy this week against the Cowboys completely self-combust, and they realize that against a good defense, I don't know how sustainable he is. And maybe him having like one more year off learning would be better. I still think this is very unlikely, but a team with Kittle and Gronk would be nasty.
I agree. And like just we were talking about it in the NFL video. That's just such a nice offense. But the Niners are not on my list. It's looking like we have very different lists, which I'm pretty happy about. Because I was struggling with 4 and 5, and to me the Niners really don't make sense because you have Purdy, and if Purdy doesn't work out, they probably run it back with Lance, and maybe they just keep Jimmy G around. I don't know, but I wouldn't be surprised.
But imagine you probably have 2 of the best blocking and catching tight ends. The issue with Kelsey and why Kelsey probably would never reach my best tight end of all time is because he could never block like Gronk. But imagine that rushing team with Kittle, who's a great blocking tight end, and Gronk, and then they could also pass the ball, and you could have 2 guys in the backfield, both be Debo and Christian McCaffrey. And at that point, you're running 2 running backs, 2 tight ends, and you could throw the ball all over the field. So nasty. But because you went 4, I'll go 3. My 3 is Raiders. If they can keep everybody around, again, Darren Waller plus Gronk would be amazing. Hunter Renfrow, I know he had a bad injury-riddled year. Devontae's still the best wide receiver in the league, in my opinion. Their defense isn't horrible. They could probably get guys to come there. But also, the biggest reason why they're here also, I think that the dome would be preferable for Tom. He doesn't like – I don't think he wants to play in the cold, even though my other 2 teams, spoiler, are in the cold. I feel like it would entice him partially to be, hey, I'll be in a dome. I'll be in Vegas. Gronk would love Vegas, but I feel like that would partially have something to do with it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Raiders do have such a great offense. Defense, I'm not sure, but they could also make it work with their picks, and they're trading a lot of money away with Derek Carr.
Yes.
And there's also Josh McDaniels, but and that would give some familiarity with Brady. But my number 3 is the Jets. I kind of mentioned it earlier with the AFC South. I really don't know if he really or
East?
AFC East.
Yeah.
I don't know if he goes there just because of the competition, and maybe the Jets decide to go younger. I'm not really sure. That's why they're at my 3. But I could. They're definitely one where I'm like, there's got to be when free agency starts or before Jets are talking to Brady. That's my kind of expectation.
It will happen. It will happen. Now, whether or not it results in anything, we'll see.
Yeah, because that's a spot where it's almost like when Brady went to the Bucks, it was like they're just a quarterback away. Jets are almost in that same spot. Like
I think they are. They have a defensive rookie of the year candidate in Garrett Wilson and a defensive rookie of the year candidate in Sauce Gardner, offensive rookie of the year candidate in Garrett Wilson. I see why they're your 3, but do you want to move on to 2?
Yeah, I'll go on 2, and mine is the Titans, which to me, they're almost. I'm not sure about their line. Same thing with the Jets, but I think they can make moves. They have
the Jets
picks.
have a good when they get healthy. When they get Mekhi Becton out, who was hurt at the beginning of the year, their line is good. And the Titans also has some injuries, but continue. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. Oh no, you're totally good. I appreciate it. And then there's familiarity with Vrabel, and I think that's kind of like you were talking about. Like he doesn't want to start new, unless which he could. Like he could do it, but maybe he wants to go somewhere where he knows the guys. And to me, Titans, I think they'll have a good defense. Not as great as the Jets, but I also do think they're a quarterback away, and they would allow them time to develop Malik Willis and. Because I don't think Brady maybe a 2-year deal at the most.
Yeah, my 2, just like you, Jets. I know this isn't your 2, but the Jets. Robert Saleh is a great defensive head coach, and Brady needs a good defensive coach on his team. I feel like it really helps him. And he doesn't necessarily need the best defense. There's this talk that he's always had a great defense. No, he hasn't, and he's lost a Super Bowl where he had the most passing yards ever, over 500 yards, and scored 100 points. Basically, it felt like and lost. But I feel like that great defense. They're young. He can make more moves. There's some Bucks players that moved over to the Jets. They'd obviously get a good tight end now in Gronk if Gronk decided to move there. I mean, if he almost moved to the Bills, why wouldn't he almost move to the Jets? I mean, it's not that far away. Also, they're in New York, or no, technically the Jets are not in New York, but same difference. And I think the Jets would be a very, very. I think my last 2 teams are both one QB away, and I feel like that's the main reason why. The only reason why the Jets are 2 and the other team is 1 is because of division. So I'm just going to go into my 1. My 1 is Titans. That division looks open. And I know people are saying, well, the Jaguars look so much better. I don't know yet. I have to see. And I feel like a Titans team that almost won the division with no QB because Ryan Tannehill was hurt, you add Tom Brady to that. I don't know how much of a chance the Jaguars have.
Yeah, I agree. And that was a point I forgot is the AFC South to me is pretty wide open. Like Jaguars, good, but it was close. Like the Titans almost won it, like you said, without a quarterback.
They outplayed the Jaguars with Joshua Dobbs, and then there was a fluke fumble that they returned. Like it wasn't this. I know they had a much better record at the end of the year, technically, but it was not a dominant divisional win.
Yeah, and then before I go into my 1, you mentioned defenses. I don't think he never has always had a good defense, a great defense. He's had a good defense, and to me, when he's choosing his spots, he's being smart.
Defense matters. Yeah.
Yeah, defense matters. Like he's not going to go to some team with terrible defense and they're not fixing it because he's like, I'm not going to sling it to win the game. No, I want to there will be times where I need to carry it, but I'm not going to carry the whole defense and a line and stuff. It's just I think he's smart and he knows how to maneuver it. You've mentioned this team before. My number 1 is the Raiders. And, like, you covered a lot of the points. And I do think the Raiders always are that team when it's kind of a player's last hurrah. They're always, like, in the mix, like Marshawn Lynch. And didn't – no, I'm thinking of the Seahawks with Jerry Rice, right?
Yeah. But Jerry Rice was really good on the Raiders. Like, went to a Super Bowl good.
He was with the Raiders.
He was. He was on the Super Bowl team.
I knew it.
But his last year, even if we go to Marshawn Lynch's last team was also the Seahawks. So,
yeah. Wait, Jerry Rice did play on the Raiders, or was it Seahawks?
He played on both. His last team was the Seahawks, though.
Okay, I couldn't remember if he was with the Raiders. And there's Marshawn Lynch. There's one more. Isn't there one more? Well, of course, Randy Moss, but oh man, I thought
Randy Moss didn't end his career with the Raiders, though. He played for them.
Well, yeah. Randy Moss is not a good example. I think there's one. Wasn't there like they're always that like team where like he played for them? Like Jerry Rice usually associate with the Niners, and then there were some spots where he kept going. But I swear there's one more player.
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Who's with Michael Crabtree? Oh, that was Cooper. I thought there was one
Crabtree's last team, I believe, was the Cardinals, though.
Oh, wow. But yeah.
I'll check that. I'll fact check that.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. But I also think Josh McDaniels worked, and that would probably be...
I was right.
Oh, you were right. Yeah.
His last team was the Cardinals.
It's obscure. Like that's when you like ask someone like list the teams, and they would just like slot in Raiders and see. But I think that offense, like Devontae Adams said, he's gonna stay.
And that here's the other thing: Josh Jacobs, I believe, is a free agent. They have to keep Josh Jacobs. If they keep Josh Jacobs and they get Gronk, this is the best offense in the league.
I agree. I think like that personnel, Renfro, like you said, had an injury year, but you have Darren Waller, you have Renfro coming back, you have Adams, and I do think they would have to make some trades for defense. But like you have a great pass rusher and Max Crosby, just add some corners, maybe sign some people, and I believe they have the 5th overall. No, they don't have the 5th overall pick. Maybe they're 7th.
I'm checking right now.
So they could trade down, and maybe they get something in a Derek Carr trade where they trade for other guys and other linemen, or draft other linemen.
It is 7. You were right the second time.
Let's go. Yeah, because 5 Seahawks.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's why they're my number 1. And even though it's a tougher division, I think he goes to the Raiders, mostly because Josh McDaniels there, and they already have a winning formula on offense. It's just, to me, they got to fix the defense and the line.
Yeah. Now, I want to do something a little bit different for the end. We've said our 5. I'm just going to throw out a random team, and you tell me one reason why no and one reason why it could happen. Seahawks.
One reason no. This will probably be the cheap way out, but I'll go Geno, and he's a little bit younger. But one reason, yes, young defense, very similar to the Jets. Young defense, bunch of picks, high picks, like we said, 5, and then you have great offense, and the line is getting better, so they already have some stud tackles. So I could see that happening.
Yeah. Cleveland.
Ooh. One reason no is probably the money towards Deshaun Watson. Second reason yes, or one reason yes would probably be the defense. But
and then I've seen a lot of people talk about this one, but I don't see it happening. Like, this is one team that, even though they have probably a QB issue, that I would bet my life they didn't go there just because of the story it would be Washington.
Yes, I did see that, and I do agree. Apparently, like you sent me that article, apparently they're getting new ownership, which, like, they should get new ownership.
Until I see it happen, it would be the most unattractive free agency spot possible because it's not like they have issue doing. It's not like the Texans where they're just a bad team. No, this is run from the top, just horrible.
Yeah, and that Sean Taylor stuff is just like the statue. Man, that's.
Yeah.
I hope when they get a new owner, he
They tear
Does.
that one down and build
tear
it.
that down and do a much better statue.
And then I have one more team, and this relies purely on another thing happening. The Ravens. What if Lamar leaves?
That's
What if
fair.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would be shocked. Well, I wouldn't be shocked, but I'd be
Reason why
surprised
no.
if reason no.
Yeah, and then reason yes.
Reason no is probably not enough weapons. Wide receivers.
Okay.
One reason yes is defense would get better and he can make it work. But I would be surprised if Lamar Jackson is a Raven.
I have to wait and see. He's definitely made his case, or he's made his stance. I feel like that he would prefer not to be, but I'll have to think about it. Definitely this off season, we will talk about QB changes because there's about to be a lot of them.
Oh yeah, yeah. I was thinking of another video we could do similar to quarterback rankings, but a little bit different. But yeah, that will be for the other day. Thank you for listening to All We Got. Austin, I'll let you close it out.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And where do you guys think Brady will go?